So, the United States Patent and Trademark Office tries to help small businesses and inventors by lowering their filing fees. And that's one way you can save when filing for a patent, especially compared to large entities or large corporations. After all, it wouldn't be fair if a small business owner or solo inventor had to pay the exact same filing fee as a corporation like Procter& and Gamble or Boeing. There are three main filing fees when you go looking at the USPTO website. This image right here, you'll see that there are three different categories for fees. The first one, which is fee, is for large entities undiscounted, and then you get discounts depending on whether you're a small entity or you're a micro entity. In general, the small entity will pay half of that amount of the large entity, and then the micro entity will pay half of that of the small. So how do you qualify for these? Let's start with the small one. A small entity status applies to small businesses. So any business with less than 500 employees is considered a small business for patent filing fees. If you're an individual inventor or applicant, so basically if you're filing as yourself and you own the rights to your patent and you're an individual, it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're considered a small entity. And the last one is nonprofit organization. So any nonprofit business is considered also a small entity. How do you claim the small entity status? All you have to do is when filing, you just have to click that check mark for small entity and it will just redo the pricing for you. There is nothing to file or no certifications to file, unlike for micro entity. So the second one, and this is the lowest one, and it's the micro entity status. And how do you qualify for micro entity status? So first of all, you need to be a small entity, so everything that we just discussed, less than 500 employees, an actual inventor filing on behalf of themselves, or nonprofit organization. So the first way to qualify for micro entity is through that income base. And then for that, first of all, you need to be a small entity like we just discussed. And then two, income. Your income has to be less than, currently it's $184,000. So if you made less than $184,000 and $116 in the preceding year for tax purposes, then you are considered a micro entity. Two, you were not named on more than 4 prior applications. And the last point is that you're not assigning your rights to a non-micro entity status. So you're not giving your rights to another company who would not qualify for the micro entity status. Some of the questions I've gotten before, what if I'm married? Does the $184,000, is it just me? Or would it be my husband in there as well, or my spouse, or my partner? And the answer is no. I know the word household income in that language is included, but it is just you. So however much money you, the inventor, made. What if you have multiple inventors? Every single one of these inventors has to qualify for the micro entity requirements. Second way is educational basis, and this is if your employer or whomever you're giving your rights to is a university or an educational organization, then you would qualify for microentity status. This does not apply to universities or educational organizations outside of the United States. How do you go about claiming your microentity status? Well, you need to file a microentity certification. Essentially, if it's the income, you're stating that you've made less than that amount that's required. Link below so you can have an updated one at all times. So who can sign this microentity certification? One, you can have your representative, so your attorney, patent agent can sign this on your behalf. Two, if you're just the only inventor here, then by signing this, you would qualify. And three, if you have a lot of joint inventors, there's more than one inventor, everybody needs to sign this certification. And just file it as part of your application. Third, the large undiscounted entity status. This is if you have 500 or more and don't qualify for small or micro, then you are a large entity for USPTO filing services.